Have you ever noticed the more important something is, the harder it becomes to feel motivated? Why? Deadlines get closer, pressure increases, and somehow motivation disappears. Why is that? If you ever wondered why that happens, this video is for you. Most people think motivation comes from discipline. It doesn't. That's not the case. Motivation comes from your nervous system feeling safe. What do I mean by that? When something feels important, your brain doesn't see opportunity, it sees risks. Risk of failure, risk of disappointment, risk of confirming the fear that you're not enough, not good enough. You can't get it done, you might make mistakes. You'll be judged on that. So your survival brain shuts motivation down to protect you, to keep you safe. Okay, motivation runs on dopamine. Stress blocks dopamine. And important tasks create more stress, which reduces your dopamine. That's the trap. It's a spiral down. When pressure rises, your brain says, we don't have the chemicals for this right now. So instead of feeling driven, you feel heavy, foggy, avoidant. Not because you don't care, because your emotional brain is overloaded. It's the biology. What happens is dopamine is a neurotransmitter chemical created in the brain. And it provides things like, for enjoyment, when you're having a good time, pleasure, joy, things like that. It also serves, if it's like sudden stress pressure, it provides the motivation to react. So if you're in danger, it's your getaway motivator. But if it's like stress from a certain situation, such as a work project or speaking in front of people, could be anything. The stress starts to eat away at the dopamine, and it leaves you less motivated, sadder, and you're just not getting anywhere. If you have ADHD or burnout from fatigue, from everything else going on in your life, the system is already fragile. You carry a base load, at least many people do, a base load of stress already in your head. You got to be somewhere on time. There's a little bit of stress with that. You got things to do later on. You got things coming up later on in the week. Maybe you got a big bill to pay, big exam, big test. It could be anything. But you got a base load of stress already in your head for a lot of people. Most of us, I believe. So the system is already slightly below optimal. So your baseline dopamine is lower. So motivation doesn't rise with importance. It starts to collapse. That's why small tasks feel impossible and big tasks feel paralyzing. It's not a mindset problem. It's not a problem with you or what's going on in your head. It's biology. It's nervous system reality. That's the way we're built. Here's the part nobody tells you. Motivation doesn't start actions. Actions create motivation, but your brain needs to feel safe enough to take the first step. Not the whole task, just the next gentle move. So if it's a work activity that your boss gave you or something, try to come up with just a couple simple ideas. Get back to your boss and say, hey, I'd like to bounce a few ideas off you. What do you think? If you don't have that chance to do that, life isn't a game show. Phone a friend, speak to a coworker, see if someone else has done this before and how they got through it, how they approached it. A lot of times things have already been done by other people, and you can find out what they are, just ask the right questions to the right people. Might take a few shots, but it's the way to go. So that could be the very first step. Let the air out of the situation, decrease the pressure, and that'll remove the stress, and your dopamine levels will increase. Motivation returns when pressure lowers. When pressure lowers, your dopamine starts to become restored. So that's your motivation. So when self-judgment softens, that'll happen. When the task stops feeling like the test of your worth. Tiny starts, low expectations, compassion first. That's how your brain lets motivation come back on life, come back online. You may have every once in a while seen somebody forced into a situation that they weren't comfortable with and they immediately screw up. What happened there? The pressure never decreased. The motivation, dopamine was not there. and they fail to function the way they want to do, and they're oh, you screwed up. The pressure is never reduced. They're forced. So you want to try to avoid that kind of situation. So in real life, it's not a game show. You can phone a friend, ask a coworker, ask a companion, ask a friend. Bounce some ideas off your boss. This way they know you're starting to think about things, and maybe they can provide some insight to you. Okay? It works that way. Talk to people. Be external. If this video helped you understand what goes on when your brain is affected by stress and how your motivation decreases, your productivity decreases because of stress, this series is for you. This is part of the series about how to get, if when you're stuck, to get unstuck. Okay? So the next video will explain what happens when you're about to start something and your brain goes blank the second you got to start. So if you want to continue this reset, subscribe and stay with this series. You're doing okay. Everybody's overwhelmed on swell. Everybody. Okay? Welcome back to the Mental Reset Room.